Now, a BBC investigation has found that the UK is shipping millions of waste tyres to India each year, where they're being cooked in makeshift furnaces, causing potentially serious health problems. Instead of being recycled, the BBC's File on 4 Investigates programme discovered that millions of waste tyres are being sold on the black market. Paul Kenyon reports.
Most of us drive a car, and most of us at some time have to get our tyres changed.
That's good, thank you very much.
Off with the old, on with the new. And within the bill, a small charge we all pay for our tyres to be disposed of safely and recycled. So this is our tyre at its end of use point. The interesting question is, where does it go next? Well, they're supposed to be shredded, then used for things like surfacing horse arenas and children's playgrounds. But the BBC's File on 4 Investigates programme has discovered that around half of waste tyres in the UK are squashed into bales like this. It's more profitable to do this and then ship them abroad. Together with journalists from an organisation called Source Material, we teamed up with an industry insider who fitted trackers to end-of-life tyres to see where they ended up. What followed was an extraordinary journey, all the way to India, where instead of going for recycling, they were diverted on a 1,000-kilometre journey into central India. And look where they ended up, in pyrolysis plants. Pyrolysis is a process that heats tyres to high temperatures, retrieving oil and steel. We've been told that most plants in India are unlicensed and unmonitored, and it's illegal to import tyres for pyrolysis in India. The process isn't clean. It creates a dangerous cocktail of gases and chemicals.
These will be oil spills, I suspect, from the process again, or leaks even. And look, you can see here, carbon dust is penetrating the roofs of some of these sheds. Even basic health and safety rules being flouted. Our tyres should not be ending up in places like this.
The BBC approached one of the companies. They confirmed they were processing some imported tyres, but said what they were doing wasn't dangerous or illegal. The TRA estimates that 70% of tyres exported to India from the UK and the rest of the world end up in these plants. In January, there was an explosion at a makeshift pyrolysis plant near Mumbai. 2 children who'd been living inside the plant were killed, along with 2 adults. Local authorities have since shut down 7 neighbouring pyrolysis plants. Our team returned to the site a month on to discover some facilities still operating. Pollution everywhere. Locals complained of sore throats and coughing as children played in the soot. Nearby, mountains of tyres, many from Europe and the UK. Our waste sold into India's black market. Back home, after a tip-off, we visited a tyre disposal company in Rochdale, which sells bales of end-of-life tyres. We went with a local councillor. Its boss, Zahir, invites us inside. And where do these tyres go? They go to India, don't they?
India, yeah.
Yeah, and what happens to them in India?
They do pyrolysis plant. They're making furnace oil. They make carbons. Brother, listen. I'm just not exporting only global tyres. There are plenty of companies, 90% English people doing this business.
Zahir points out he can't control what happens when tyres arrive in India. So his point is, yes, he does export end-of-life tyres to India where they are burned, with huge environmental consequences. But he would say everybody does it. It's an open secret within this industry, and that's the point. He will say, until the government shuts it down, we'll carry on doing it. It's the government's responsibility. The government says it has rigorous controls in place for exporting waste tyres and punishments, including unlimited fines and jail time for those who flout the rules. But environmental groups want stricter regulation of both dealers and of the waste itself. Paul Kenyon, BBC News.
And I'm very pleased to say that Paul joins us in the studio now. And Paul, that gentleman was saying it's an open secret. I've never heard of this.
Well, we all take our tyres in, don't we? And we pay a small levy. Most of us don't even know that we pay this levy. It's there at the bottom of the bill, and it means that our tyres are supposed to be going for recycling in the UK or abroad, but that's what we count on, safe disposal of. So as you saw in the report, we put trackers with somebody who's an insider in the industry, and off they went to the other side of the world, to India, where they ended up on pyrolysis plants. So it's an extraordinary thing. If you think they're going halfway around the world, when we think they're being recycled here, halfway around the world, where they're actually ending up as a pollutant in these pyrolysis plants.
And this is happening on what kind of scale?
In the UK each year, we have, in terms of end-of-life tyres, about 50 million. So 50 million end-of-life tyres, about half of them go to India. 25 million, which is, I'm told, about 350,000 tonnes, which is about the weight of the Empire State Building. So it's a huge, isn't that a great little analogy? So the weight of that going to India every year on the back of boats to be burned, most of them, the majority, in pyrolysis plants. And you saw some of the damage it was doing.
And yeah, so exactly that. Talk us through, because the scenes then in India are pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, so we got the BBC India team to go and look at some of these places. I mean, soot everywhere, children playing in the soot. They give off a kind of cocktail of chemicals and gases. So it's dangerous for people. And earlier this year, one of them exploded just outside Mumbai. 4 people were killed. So, you know, this is a black market which is exporting our pollutants to India in a place where it's unregulated, and where one of our contributors in this programme says it's the Wild West of tyre disposal.
Wow, that's quite a way to describe it, isn't it? Paul, thank you very much for your reporting. Paul Kenyon from the BBC's File on 4 Investigates. Thank you so much.